Dare to dream a bigger dream.
So here we are. My name is Kim Eichhoff. This is my Dare to Dream video series with entrepreneurs and small business owners. Just kind of pulling that curtain a little bit to understand who entrepreneurs are, what makes them tick, and how they decide to do what they do. And today we have Taylor Ferguson. She has her own business, and I will let her introduce herself, her business. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got, like when you got started and how long you've had your business to date.
Sure. So I'm Taylor. I own Function First Chiropractic. I'm a chiropractor. My business is a baby business. I've owned it and been open since February of 2018. So I'm in my third year, which I hear is exciting. So I'm excited. And yeah, I mostly focus on treating active people and active families.
So how did you get into chiropractic work? Because it's an interesting story. You're like,
I got a postcard in the mail. Felt like a sign. No, I didn't ever have a plan and then like work backwards. I didn't know that I wanted to be a chiropractor and then like figure out what the pathway to get there was. I kind of started down a path and then found my way into chiropractic. I have always worked around athletes. I was I did stats for the football team in high school, and I was an athletic trainer in college. I studied exercise science, and I just always knew I liked, like, if given the choice between studying anatomy or like biology and plants, I wanted to be learning about anatomy and physiology and like how the body worked. And I thought that would take me into the healthcare realm in some way. I just didn't quite know what that looked like. So after college, I took 2 years off and played. And then I literally got a postcard in the mail. And I had looked into chiropractic before, but it sounded like it was a 5-year program. And at the time I was just finishing school and I couldn't imagine going through 5 years of something else. So when I got the postcard, I reached out to a friend of mine who'd actually gone to chiropractic school, and I asked a few questions. And then I started shadowing chiropractors, and then I re-looked up school online, and it was much more digestible. It was a 5-year program, but they condensed it into 3 years, and we just went all year instead of doing like 2 semesters. So I did a little bit deeper of a dive basically, and in shadowing other people, it really just made a lot of sense. Like I loved the vast, or the breadth, I guess, of people that you got to work with, from young kids to elderly folks. And I loved like the personal connection that each of the doctors that I shadowed had with all of their patients. That was really intriguing to me. So I applied and figured I might not get in, and then I'd have to figure something else out, but I applied and I got in, and then I went, and here we are.
Did you end up going to the school you got the postcard from?
No.
Isn't that interesting?
So it like worked kind of.
Right.
Probably not
somebody
how
else.
I wanted it to. No, I've always moved a lot. And so that school was in New York, and I'd already lived in New York. So I only looked at schools in other states that I hadn't lived in yet.
Gotcha. Very cool. Okay. So you've done it for 3 years now, right? How have you found the journey of owning your own business, as well as, because you have 2 things that you're doing simultaneously. You're learning how to become a great chiropractor, right? I mean, you go to school and you get all that experience, but then you get out and you have to apply it. So you've been learning that, and then the same exact time, because you never worked with anybody else in another place, right?
I was an independent contractor, but it was very independent. Like we worked on opposite days. I never saw them.
So it wasn't like you were a chiropractor in somebody else's office supporting that person. Okay. So then you've had to learn how to run your own business simultaneously at the same time. So how has that been for you?
It's been interesting. I would say I was really lucky in that I met a woman who owned her own business, and I was able to do my internship with her. And then she has kind of stayed on as a mentor with me, which has been really nice. Like I've always had somebody to lean on, even though I've been alone. So that was huge. And I would like encourage anybody to find a mentor, because you don't know what you don't know. So there's going to be a question that you don't have the answer for sure. And it's nice to have somebody with like firsthand experience to be able to answer it. But yeah, it's been interesting. I think that's like the biggest challenge that I'm reminded of is so many times when I listen to other entrepreneurs speak, or like I do some business coaching or whatever, like people talk about these metrics that you're supposed to be tracking. And I wasn't doing that the first year. You know, there's always things that you need to go look up, like what are they even talking about? And then figuring out how to implement it. So yeah, it's been a journey for sure. And sometimes it's overwhelming. I think it's just like, yeah, like a huge roller coaster. Like sometimes it's really overwhelming. And then other days you're like, I am crushing it. Just depends on the day.
What makes it feel super overwhelming?
I think when you think you're doing well and then you hear, like you get like dumped on in an hour seminar of how much you're actually not doing, and then thinking like your time is already so limited, like how the heck are you going to implement it? And kind of this like feeling sometimes, at least for me, of like if I don't implement it then I'm going to fail, so like you better figure it out. That's
So
overwhelming.
that can tend so that can sounds like can make you feel a bit more like you're not doing as good a job as you were doing before you took, or you thought you were doing before you took that class or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. Does that send you into a motivated state to try to figure things out better, or does it make you be like, screw this, I'm just gonna like,
No,
what do
for
you
me generally, like when I get overwhelmed I shut down.
okay.
I think that's one thing that's nice about being in like a service oriented business is there's not a lot of room to shut down. You might argue with me about if it's nice or not, but like you kind of just got to show up and keep going, which is nice. It doesn't allow me to shut down. But like times like right now where I haven't been able to be working in the business as much has given me time to tackle some of those projects that at one point were really overwhelming. So I've been trying to like kind of stay positive and do some of that right now. But yeah, like other things, it just, they live on the to-do list for a while. And until I feel like I can really do it, then I do it. But there's a long to-do list that I stare at more often than I accomplish, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just lack of time usually, right? You're just busy.
Yeah, I think that's the other part of the overwhelm. It's like that constant push and pull of like working, like if I'm working on the business, it's really rewarding as far as feeling like you're making progress, but financially overwhelming. And then if you're working in the business, you feel like there's a big financial payoff, but you don't necessarily feel like you're doing everything that you need to be doing.
Yeah, and it can probably feel like it's hard to get ahead, right? Like if you're working in the business the whole time, you're just kind of doing the same things over and over again, and you have all these other pieces that you want to do that might help you move your business to the next level, but there's no time to do them. So yeah, you can pull back and forth.
Yeah, I don't think I ever feel like I'm working ahead. I think I either feel super overwhelmed and behind, or like I'm on top of things and managing it. That's kind of like
Okay.
the two states that I live in.
So what do you think, what motivates you to keep doing it then on your own? Because I'm guessing you could have gotten a job with another chiropractor or something at some point, supporting somebody else, or so what do you think having your own business has been the route you went?
Um, I mean, I think that in itself is really motivating. Like I don't really want to work for somebody else, so I'm just going to keep working hard and make this successful. Not because I wouldn't enjoy working for somebody else. I think that the payoff is so much greater. And it's nice to be in control.
Aha.
It is like I don't always feel like I'm in control of my own schedule, because I feel like I should be meeting the needs of my patients who sometimes need me to work an extra hour or come in earlier or not take a lunch or something like that. But I would rather have them dictate my schedule than somebody else dictating my schedule. Um,
I've heard other small business owners say, it's not that you don't have a boss, you actually have like 50 bosses, but you
yeah.
have, right? You still have some sort of autonomy that you don't have when you work with somebody else. Yeah. So for you, and I know you're a newer business, but have you had, and I'm wondering how this has helped you during this time now. Have you had times where making enough money has been challenging, especially in the beginning when you're starting your practice and working through that fear and just figuring out how to keep going? And if you have, how has that helped you sort of manage what we're going through right now with this pandemic that's happening?
Yeah, I think the beginning was really tough, and I definitely just kind of like dove in, and I think I was fortunate in how I landed. I moved to a new city, so I had not lived in Denver before, and I moved from St. Louis, Missouri, where my rent was like $300 a month, and then my first apartment here was $1,600 a month. So like
That's a jump.
huge increase in personal overhead for sure. And then also like I don't know anyone here, so like it wasn't like I had a huge network of people to tap into to have people lining up at my door. So yeah, money was a huge concern at the beginning. So I did what I think everybody does. I got a part-time job. I was serving in a restaurant for a little bit. I was driving for Lyft for a little bit. I worked at another chiropractor's office like some Saturdays. What else did I do? That was kind of like the first year. And then I decided in the second year, I still needed some extra cash, but to try to only have jobs that still supported my like long-term goal and career and vision. So I started teaching part-time, and I was still covering some office shifts. I think it took me about 6 months to feel like I could actually depend on my business for some sort of an income, which I think is actually fast for some people. So I was lucky there. I've had a lot of success finding the patients that I have found, and then having really loyal people. And then I think, yeah, I've had to shift and realize that like sometimes you need to dive completely in before you really see the full benefit. And I'm guilty of still not even really doing that. I still teach, which during this time when I'm not able to see patients, and also like if I was still working in the restaurant, I wouldn't be able to work in the restaurant either. So teaching has been a huge blessing in disguise. And I do have a long-term goal of teaching for a company, some seminars and things. So I think it will have even greater payoffs down the road. And then my like New Year's resolution this year was to start saving. So that was helpful.
There you go. Well, I mean, it sounds like it's a smart kind of diversification, right? Like to bring in income in different ways, even using your knowledge and your skills in different ways, like you're saying, teaching, but then also doing your chiropractic work. So,
Yeah. And then the other thing I would say is like my business overhead is very low, which I'm super grateful for.
right. Well, and you were smart too, because when you started your practice, you kind of partnered in gyms, right? There's a couple
Yeah.
of gyms. Yeah. So talk about a little bit how that was helpful.
Well, so when I was an independent contractor, I was actually working out of my current space now. So I was like sharing that space. So I kind of fell into the gym space through him. But then I found a second office in another gym, and that has been huge. I mean, it takes a lot of work. Like I have to be present at the gyms. I have to like work out. Like they're all doing online programming right now. So like this week I'm doing 9 workouts just to continue to like show up and show my face. Plus what I want to do for myself if I had my choice. So like it does take time out of your day, but every time I took a class, I made a new relationship. And like those relationships have rewarded me tenfold, because not everybody, but a lot of those people then have significant others or friends, or like they have a network. And the gyms are very similar to my business in that my business is very location driven. Like people don't want to drive super far away for something that they're going to come to anywhere from like once a month to every week. And if the gym is somewhere they're going every day, it's also a location driven situation. So like if I'm close to their gym, then and I'm convenient to them, and then it's my target market. So it kind of seemed like a no-brainer, and I found some good places that we were able to work out some really good referral partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what are you doing right now with this going on? How have you spent your time since you can't
So
see patients?
yeah, so I still am teaching. So I was converting all of our material into being an online class, which that has taken a lot of time. Other than that, I've been communicating with everybody who was on the schedule, sending out newsletters to try to like kind of keep people abreast of what's going on in the practice. Social media is huge. I try to be really consistent with my social media anyway, but I've had to like pre-record some content and kind of keep that coming. And I've tried to stay just as consistent with that. So there's like a little bit of an online presence. And then I got ahead on some blogs for my website. So this was actually the first time that I feel like I've gotten ahead on anything, so that I have content to put out when I get back into the office. I had pre-recorded some videos, some movement videos to send to patients, and I'm going to create a YouTube library with those, which it's always kind of been on my list, but I've never done. And then I'm moving office spaces, and I want to create something that, like, when people, it's going to have more foot traffic. So when people walk by, if I'm with a patient, I want them to be able to have flyers and information that they can take, which I've never had before. So I've been creating those documents. I don't know, lots of stuff like that. And then a lot of my networking meetings have continued anyway. We just do some virtual meetings and things like that. So I would say 40% of my week still looks the exact same between teaching and networking and social media. And then the other 60% is where I've kind of had time to get ahead a little bit. I have seen some patients with telehealth, or been creating at-home workout programs for them too.
Oh, good. That's what I was wondering. Have you started offering what'd you say?
I said I've actually stayed pretty busy.
Yeah, right. Have you started offering new services like that, the telehealth or the stay home workouts? Or
Yeah, I've tried to offer telehealth. I will say that I think people really associate chiropractic as being hands-on. So it's been a little bit harder of a sell. Although I just listened to a seminar the other day that maybe is just saying that I sold it incorrectly. So a learning opportunity there.
yeah.
But I wouldn't say I've been offering too many new things necessarily. A lot of the same things, just in different ways.
Okay. Through virtual methods.
Yeah. So if
email.
somebody was to come into the office, I'd probably give them some corrective exercise. So now I've been giving them an emailed list of corrective exercise with YouTube videos attached. So similar, but different. I've had some people who have, maybe needed a foam roller at home, or some self-care products. So instead of giving them in the office, I've done some home deliveries of that kind of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that was going to be my other question. Have you started any kind of self-care techniques that you're sending out just to your clients, or?
Not that I'm sending out just to my clients. Might have been a good idea to send a daily self-care tip or video or something like that. But I guess I would say that I have been doing some of that stuff through social media.
Okay. Because I would guess, if a lot of yours are athletes, they're probably still continuing to work out, right?
Yeah. And since a lot of them have, come from those gyms, a lot of them are already getting online content and workouts and things like that from the gyms that they go to.
But the reason that they were coming to you is to avoid injury, or they've gotten injured or something like that. So how are you helping those people, or can you right now?
The people who have come to me, it's kind of twofold to prevent injury. They all have home care exercises and strengthening and things that I've given them already. So they can should be able to do those. And if they have had questions, then I can, send them a new video or send them a progression of some kind. So I can easily help with the exercise part. The hands-on, what I compare to getting your tires rotated and kind of keeping up with the body maintenance, unfortunately, that definitely has had to stop. So I haven't really been able to help those people as much. I have seen on occasion some acute scenarios where people have some pretty intense pain and are at the point where they're do I go to the hospital or do I see a chiropractor? I have seen a couple of those people on special occasions. So for those people, they've gotten the hands-on care and then tips on how to kind of reduce inflammation. But anybody who's reached out to me who doesn't fall into that category, I've given them, whether they should be using ice or heat, or exercises that maybe they hadn't had before, because this is a new injury for them, but it's not that bad. And I guess, yeah, some self-care tips then.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find that you're mostly communicating with past or current clients or patients versus trying to reach out to new people right now? What's your strategy, your marketing strategy then?
Definitely trying to stay in front of past clients. I think the longer and the more times I have to reach out to people to cancel an appointment that they had scheduled, whether they thought they were going to be able to come in and then the stay at home got put in place or whatever, I'm getting more anxious that those people will not be back on the schedule. So those people are definitely my first priority. It's way easier to keep clients than it is to find new ones.
Yeah.
And I've actually had a lot of new people reaching out to me. But I wouldn't say I necessarily have put any like big marketing strategies out towards new people, just because I don't know when I can see them necessarily.
Yeah.
That is on my like list of big tasks to accomplish, is like to familiarize myself with Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And I'm hoping to learn that so that I can start trialing and erroring that once I am back to being open.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems to me kind of what we were talking about earlier. It seems to me that even if they haven't been seeing you and they're working out consistently, and at some point they're going to need body work, because it's just going to, it gets too much for your body.
Even if they're not working out, I find there's people who
yeah.
maybe had stopped working out, and so now they're getting like really uncomfortable, or like no one was necessarily given time to prepare to move into an at-home office with like the ideal ergonomic setup, right? So it was just kind of like, don't come back tomorrow. And people have been working on their couches, or myself included, unfortunately. And my body hurts. I can't wait till I can get my own care too. So I do think there will be I will definitely be putting more of a push into like reconnecting with people who haven't been in a while, people who fell off the schedule, and then also new patients as soon as I can promise that I can get them in.
Right.
Safe.
What does that look like as of right now for you? For the chiropractic
I'm hoping that if the stay-at-home order for Denver is lifted, like even if we can't gather in big groups or anything like that, that my business is super solo and individual. So it would hopefully mean that I could start seeing no restrictions on who I'm seeing. I would just have to put in some restrictions as far as like how many people can cross paths in the waiting room, or like time, add in some buffer time on each end of appointments so that I can, make sure I can clean, requiring people maybe to wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask whenever I do go into the office. So I'm hoping maybe next week. Who knows? I know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. That would be nice. Do you think a lot of people are realizing how important kind of work that you do on them is? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I've had a ton of people. Last week, I think, was when people really started feeling it. So for some people, I think that was like about a month. For some people, maybe even longer. For some people, maybe more like 3 weeks. But I put up like a poll on my Instagram last night. That's what I'm pulling up, about like if you could live with somebody from a certain profession during this time, what would you want? And the choices were a body worker, a bartender, a hairstylist or a barber, and a chef. And a chef got 15 votes and a body worker got 10. So I do think I'm up there as far as like what people are doing.
What did hairdresser get?
2. I was shocked.
That's surprising.
I was shocked. Bartender got 0. I was also shocked about that. Maybe people are more confident in their like drink making abilities. I don't know.
Or they're like, I've been drinking too much. I don't need to be with a bartender.
For sure.
Right. No, I think that's a great idea to poll that. That's awesome. So for people who are watching this, who might be thinking about either starting their own business or going into their own business, do you have a piece of advice that you would give those individuals?
Get a mentor.
Right.
That'd be my biggest piece of advice. Get a mentor. I would also try to figure out what your learning style is, because like there's tons of books out there that you can read and people will give you suggestions on business books. But if you're not somebody who learns from reading or enjoys reading, you're never going to do it. So maybe starting to kind of like figure out what you need. Do you need to be listening to podcasts? Do you need to find a mentor and do face-to-face interactions? Do you need to are you somebody who needs to like enroll in classes like Courses USA and take like some random business classes or accounting classes? Just start to figure out how you learn. So then when you start to figure out what you need to learn, you know the best way for you to absorb it. And then having a mentor is great for answering questions. The reason I know Kim is because I've worked with Kim as a business coach. So I find that I've always found that to be helpful. And then like, I love the quote, I'm going to mess it up, shoot. But something along the lines of like, there's tons of people out there doing what you are dreaming of doing just simply because they believed in themselves. Like there's tons of people who probably don't have as much experience as you or know as much as you or even care as much as you. I think care goes a long way and gets overlooked. And they just decided to do it and you're still thinking about it. So
And yeah, that could be the only difference, right? Between doing it or not doing it. For you, do you feel like, or if you feel like sharing, what have you learned about yourself that you've needed to work on that has helped your business?
I'm a people pleaser. I say yes to way too many things and fill my time with stuff that is obligatory obligations. I have lots of obligations, but it isn't necessarily productive. So I'm still learning this, but learning how to say no and learning how to evaluate things, whether they are like truly beneficial uses of time or just something to check off the list or like to say that I've done it. I think that also comes with, I just lost my train of thought, but yeah, like it comes from a fear place. Like all throughout school, I was always scared to miss like any tutoring session or anything like this, like that, so, because I was scared that I was going to miss like that one little tidbit that would help me get that one question right that would get me an A or whatever. Right. And I feel that way now. Like if I don't go to this one happy hour, then I'm going to miss that one lead that's going to give me whatever. And I've gone to way more happy hours that haven't gotten me a lead. So I want to start to be, about like what I say yes to and what is truly a part of, is beneficial both for me as a person and as an entrepreneur.
Has this time given you some clarity around those things that you have been doing that are useful versus not, or?
I still do a lot of unuseful stuff. I mean, everybody thinks people are doing nothing right now and they're bored out of their minds. So they're like, let's FaceTime or Zoom or like have a happy hour at 2 p.m. And those are easier for me to say no to. But I'm still, it's been a good practice for sure. Still not perfect. But I will say this time has given me more clarity on how I can organize my schedule better for me to allow for more productive time. I've learned a lot about like what gets in my way of being productive during my days.
And I'm guessing not having to be in the car, right? Going back and forth to different things has freed up a lot of time. I know it has.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece. Or when you do get in the car, there's no traffic. So it's like, wow, I was here so fast. It was amazing. So
totally.
That's good. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Taylor. This was fun. Why don't you tell everybody about how they find out how to reach you or more about you?
Sure. So social media is obviously big. I have both a Facebook page and an Instagram page. I'm a little bit more active on Instagram, and it also has links on Instagram to my website, how to book an appointment. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, but everything is the name of my practice. So my website is functionfirstchiropractic.com. You can email me at taylor@functionfirstchiropractic.com, and the handle for Instagram is also @functionfirstchiropractic. So nice. Pretty easy.
And your offices are mostly in the Highlands area of Denver. Yeah.
Yep. Highlands, Stones Lake, Northwest Denver area.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Kim. It's always good to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, sure. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
So dare to love, dare to laugh. Take a stand, say yes to your path. Dare to shine, dare to fly, make a scene. Dare to dream a bigger dream.